Hello, my name is Daniel Peruse. I'm accompanied by my peers Jane Yu, Brent Smith, and James Fitz, and we are the group that will be talking to you about React.js. What is React.js? React.js is a free open source JavaScript library for creating user interfaces. Its main goal is to make websites feel more seamless. It can be used to make single page mobile and server side applications. Because React.js is UI and DOM focused, it needs the help of other libraries to handle tasks such as routing. It is currently being maintained by Meta and other companies and communities of individual developers. A little bit of history. React.js started out as a prototype named FBolt, developed by Facebook Incorporated software engineer Jordan Walk. He was inspired by XHP, which is a component library for PHP that allows for XML syntax for creating custom reusable HTML. It was first developed for Facebook's titular website in 2011, and then Instagram 1 year later. In May 2013, React.js became open source, allowing anyone to use their library for development. React would see many updates and improvements over the years, such as changing to a faster rendering algorithm in 2017. Their latest release added a way to easily make state updates with async functions instead of having to handle them manually. React Native. With React's popularity, Facebook eventually came up with the idea of developing a version of React for mobile devices. They named this React Native. Before then, they used HTML5 for their mobile app, which made for a slow and unstable user experience. React Native was first announced in February 2015 and became open source only 1 month after. It allows for native Android, iOS, and universal Windows platform development. Popular sites and apps that use React.js. Here are a couple examples of that. We've already mentioned Facebook and Instagram earlier in our presentation, but did you know Netflix, Reddit, and Discord Mobile also make use of React.js for their user interface?
Notable features. Virtual DOM. The virtual DOM in React is a lightweight copy of the real DOM. It acts as an extra layer on the actual DOM and React's internal workings. Instead of updating the real DOM directly each time a change occurs, React first updates the virtual DOM, which is much faster because it's just an in-memory representation. Once the virtual DOM has been updated, React compares it with the previous version of their virtual DOM using an algorithm called diffing. This algorithm identifies which parts of the virtual DOM have changed. Only the necessary changes are then pushed to the real DOM, which helps React optimize performance by avoiding unnecessary re-renders. Here's an illustration displaying how the virtual DOM interacts with the actual DOM itself. Changes are temporary and does not affect the actual code. Components. React components are reusable UI elements that form the building blocks of a React application. They can be thought of as functions that return HTML elements and come in two types: class components and function components. Class components are defined as JavaScript classes, while function components are simpler and recommended for new code. Components must have names that begin with a capital letter and can be combined to create complex user interfaces. Here's an example of a component being used. The name Bob is sent from app to greeting. Greeting receives Bob and renders hello Bob. React hooks. React hooks are special functions that allow you to manage state, side effects, and other React features in a more straightforward way. They eliminate the need for class components, making the code simpler and easier to understand. With hooks, you can directly access React's internal capabilities, which was usually only possible through class components. React comes with 12 built-in hooks, such as useState and useEffect, that cover most of your app's functionality. These hooks provide ready-to-use solutions for common tasks, saving you both time and effort. Instead of writing custom solutions for these tasks, you can simply rely on the built-in hooks that Reacts provide. Additionally, React hooks offer the ability to create custom hooks, which lets you encapsulate and reuse logic across different components. This improves the modularity and scalability of your code, making it easier to maintain and manage as your application grows.
Node.js versus React.js. The major difference between Node and React is that Node is a JavaScript runtime primarily used for server-side development, whereas React is a client-side library used for building user interfaces. Regarding their architecture, Node.js is built on the Chrome V8 JavaScript engine, which compiles JavaScript into machine code for high performance. React does not run on its own. It is usually bundled and served using tools like Webpack or Vite, which often require Node.js to manage dependencies and build the project. Node is event-driven and uses a non-blocking input-output model. It is highly efficient for input-output heavy tasks. However, because Node is single-threaded, it is not ideal for CPU-intensive tasks. React is component-based, meaning we can reuse its components. It uses a virtual DOM to optimize UI rendering by reducing direct interactions with a real DOM. This improves performance in many cases, but excessive re-rendering of components can sometimes lead to performance issues. When comparing features, we can see that Node is commonly used for request handling, authentication, and database interactions, where React is often used for API calls and in-browser data processing. One last comparison between Node and React is their learning curves. Node.js has a moderate learning curve because developers need to understand asynchronous programming, event-driven architecture, and server-side development. React has a steeper learning curve due to concepts such as JSX, the virtual DOM, component lifecycle methods, and state management. Both technologies use JavaScript as shown in the code example. The no-code example uses a built-in HTTP module. It creates a server that listens to on port 8080 and responds with a predefined message. The React code example is a basic component that renders a simple heading inside a div. It is typically executed using npm start in a React project. React versus Vue versus Angular. React, Vue, and Angular are all front-end technologies, but they have distinct differences. React is a UI library, while Vue and Angular are frameworks. Vue is lightweighted and flexible, making it easy to integrate into projects. Angular is a comprehensive framework, meaning it is more powerful but also heavier. Angular is based on TypeScript. In contrast, React and Vue are primarily JavaScript-based, though both support TypeScript as well. Among these three, only Vue is community-driven. React is maintained by Meta, and Angular is backed by Google, making it one of the most enterprise-friendly frameworks. React is highly reusable, as we have discussed earlier. Angular is also highly scalable, as it provides a complete solution with built-in tools for large applications. Vue is beginner-friendly due to its simplicity. Each technology is used by different companies based on their needs. We have talked about this, that React is used by Netflix, Twitter, and Amazon, all which require high-performance interactive user interfaces. Vue is used by Alibaba, Grammarly, and GitLab, often for lightweight applications with smooth UI experiences. Angular is chosen by PayPal, Samsung, and Upwork, which needs scalable enterprise-level applications. In summary, React is flexible and widely adopted UI library. Vue is lightweight and easy to learn, and Angular is a complete solution best suited for large-scale applications. The choice depends on the project's complexity, scalability needs, and development preferences. The above includes all about our slide presentation. Next, we'll be moving on to the demo application.
So this is our finalized version of our React Calendar application. As you can see, it has the calendar format along with a custom toolbar at the top. And as you can see, there are some holidays included as well. To get started on our application and the functionality, we'll first look at the toolbar. So as you can see, we have an event button or an add event button at the top left. If we click it, it opens up this modal, which uses hooks that we previously mentioned in our presentation, and it uses the useState hook. So as you can see, we can add an event, we can call it meeting, we can select a time, whatever we feel like. And if we add the event, as you can see, because it's in the past, because the start time is set after the end time, the user validation won't work, and it will say a little message to you saying that you must correct the times. So we'll just do that now. And if we add the event, it'll show up on the day that we select. Now we can also add events by clicking on the day itself in the little calendar window. We'll do the same thing, add meeting. Time will be correct. We can add event, and we can also change the event color to whatever we like. We'll use green in this example, and it'll change the corresponding color. Now, using the previous and next buttons, you can see that we go to the previous and next months. And on our right, you can see that we have the month, week, day, and agenda view tables. Clicking on each window goes to the different views. So in our week view, we can see the days in this week and kind of how the events line up for this week. If we go back to the current week, you can see that our meeting is also displayed in this week view. If we go to day, it'll be the same thing. Look at the current day, and we can see our current meeting. It's also to note, we can click on the events in the different view tabs, and we can actually delete the events from here as well, which is nice. And then we also have our day view and our agenda view as well to show our upcoming meetings and holidays. So moving on from there will be James going over the demo application that you guys will build today.
This is the project we'll be building today. It's a simpler version of what we showed earlier, and it's got some of the functionality, such as switching views and adding events. All right, let's get to creating this. First, you will need to create a new folder and VS project. So I'll do that right now. I'll call it React Demo App. So I'm going to open this in VS Code, and then we will open the terminal, new terminal. Make sure you're in the right directory within the terminal, and then we're going to run this command npx create React app, React calendar app, calendar app. I will call it that. Oh, got that wrong. It's not supposed to be npm, it's supposed to be npx. It is installed. Now we will go into the newly created directory. So we'll use the command cd, and we are now in this folder. And within this folder, we're going to install the required dependencies, which we have 2. So we'll do npm install. We'll use React big calendar and date fns. If you get any vulnerabilities, don't worry about it. It should still run. And we'll use the command npm start to run the project. And this is the default React app, and we will be adding our own code to customize it. First, we're going to go into the source, then app.js, take all the code, and remove it. I'm going to create a simple header for our page. So first of all, we're going to have to import React. And then we're going to say function app. Oh, should be semicolon. And inside this function app, we're going to add a return. Now, if we go back to our local host, we will see a nice header for this page. Now we will add all our imports, and we will also set up date localization for the calendar. And now we will add a basic calendar to the website. And now if we go back to the website, we can see that we already have a really nice looking calendar. Now we have an outline to work with, and now we just need to add functionality. None of these buttons work, and clicking on the dates doesn't allow me to add any events. We are going to start with the events, and first of all, we need a way to store them, so we will add a state to track events. This should actually go up here. We will also add a function to handle the date selection. We also need to modify the calendar to enable the event selection. Now, if we go back to the localhost, we'll see that if you click on any of the dates, you can enter your title. Let's say we have a meeting. Important. And click OK. And now we can finally add events. Next, we will add navigation and make the buttons work. In order to do this, we need to add a state to track the current data and to add a function to handle navigation. And we will also have to modify calendar to include the navigation. Now, if we go back to the localhost, that's an error. Now we are able to use the next and back buttons to change the months. And the today button works too. Now we will add functionality to the month, week, day, and agenda buttons. We will do this similarly by adding a state to track the current view, add a function to handle the view switching, and we will also modify the calendar to support different views. Now if you go back to the localhost, these buttons should work. Great, we can now switch the views. So we are done. I hope that was really easy to follow, and let me know if you need any help. Just to summarize everything we did, first of all, we set up the project. We added this header. And then we imported the React Big Calendar template, which is this whole calendar that we see. And then we added functionality to add events, event 1. And then we added functionality to the month switching buttons, these buttons on the left side. And finally, we added a functionality to the different view buttons. The week, day, agenda, month, and so on. Thank you for following along with me, and I hope you had a fun time creating this project with me. Thank you.